Good morning and welcome to SAT Prep. Today we are going to do one more review for what will be our quiz. The questions have been decided on the worksheets that I attached from pages 139 to 141. The problems we settled on were 5, 7, 10, 11, 13, and extra credit question, it will be 6. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples right here, and the first one was the dessert question, which we are also modeled in class. So let's just do something very similar as was done in class. We'll just do adult and children's dessert. So if I tell you that, let's say this time an adult dessert is $5 and a child's dessert is $2, you should begin to process that and write a part of an equation for that problem. If an adult's dessert is $5, it's 5A. And if a child's dessert is $2, it's 2C, because we're assigning A and C for adults and children. They're putting together an equation based on information you're given. It's called synthesis. And we know that we're going to have to add that up to equal some amount of money, but I haven't told you yet how much money we've collected. We are also told in the problem how many desserts were sold in all. So if you take all the adult and child desserts and put them together, which means we're going to add A and C, we'll get the number of desserts sold. Let's just say we sold a total of 200 desserts. All right, great. Well, then A plus C equals 200. I didn't yet tell you again how many of those desserts were for kids and how many of those desserts were for adults, how much money we collected. We haven't asked the question. All right, let's say I am going to tell you right now that the dollar amount earned by the restaurant for having sold 200 desserts is $460. Well, that's the dollar amount earned. So it goes along with the dollar part of the equation, and that equals 460. Now we're being asked how many child desserts were sold. What are we trying to solve for? Well, if I want to know how many child desserts were sold, I'm trying to solve for C. There's two approaches to solving these problems, either substitutions or eliminations. I believe on yesterday's video I used substitutions, so this time I'll use eliminations. If you wanted to use substitutions, it's fine. If I want to figure out what C is, I have to get rid of A, right? So if I were trying to use substitutions, I would subtract C from both sides and then substitute that in for A. But again, I'm going to use eliminations this time. I'm still trying to get rid of A though, so eliminations has us multiply by some number to eliminate a variable term. I'm going to get rid of A. So I'm going to multiply this entire equation down here by the opposite of 5, which is -5. I'm going to distribute that throughout. -5A minus 5C equals -1,000. We distributed a -5 throughout the entire equation. And now I don't need that middle line anymore. So I'm just going to erase it. You could also have scratched it out if you want so that you're not distracted by it. It's not part of this question any longer because we altered it. We multiplied it so that we could eliminate the A variable, which we're about to do because we're going to add vertically. 5A plus -5A is nothing. 2C plus -5C is -3C. 460 plus -1,000 is -540. And now all we have left to do is divide by -3 to get our C term by itself. Negative divided by negative is positive, and 540 divided by 3 should be 180. It is. 180 is our answer. This is going to be a multiple choice quiz, so there will be 5 choices, maybe 4 choices. And obviously 180 would be one of them. Probably 20 would have been another option because that's what the adults ordered. I might even throw the 460 in there or the 200 just to distract. But the answer here is 180. Moving on. You also wanted question number 7. So let's do question number 7. It gave you an equation. I'm going to give you something similar. So we'll say A plus B squared is less than 20. So which of the following does not satisfy? So we're looking for of the choices offered, which won't work. All right, so I'm going to give you some choices because this one requires choices, otherwise you can't really solve it. So I'll say, so we got 1 and -2, we got 3 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, let's say, -1. Okay, so which one is it, A, B, C, or D? We're looking for the one that won't work. That's what the question's asking for. So you just plug them in. 1 plus -2, well, that's -1 squared is 1, which is less than 20, so it's not the answer I want. 3 and 1, 3 plus 1 is 4 squared is 16, which is less than 20.
Will custodian please
Well,
call extension 1503?
And we don't want that answer. 2 and 3 is 5 squared is 25. Well, 25 is obviously not less than 20. So this is the one we want. The answer would be C. It's a basic strategy of plugging in the values into the information given to see what does and does not work. So that is problem like number 7. Next up, we have a question like number 10. Number 10 was well liked by most because it actually is fairly easy to understand. You're given a scenario. This was the elevator question. You're given a scenario where we have a number of boxes that can fit into an elevator and the weight the elevator can carry. Most of you figured out pretty easily how to put that together because the question just asks for the correct inequality system. So if I know that there's 2 kinds of boxes, X and Y, once again, just like in the previous problem with the desserts, I'm setting up a system. I have 2 different kinds of boxes, X and Y, and I know that I'm going to be dealing with both of them in that way, so just set them up. You're told that the elevator has, let's say, a maximum capacity for 40 boxes. Well, then my X plus Y could be at most 40. At most means less than or equal to 40. The elevator can move with nothing inside of it, so clearly it doesn't need 40 boxes to move, but it will only move if there are no more than 40 boxes in it. Similarly, it has a weight capacity. So let's say how heavy the boxes are. Let's say one box typically is 10 pounds, the other is 25. We assign those values to those variables. So 10-pound boxes and 25-pound boxes have a capacity, a maximum weight limit of, let's say, 2,500 pounds. Okay, so it can weigh less than or equal to 2,500 pounds, it just can't go over. It can be less than 2,500 because after all, the elevator can move empty, but it can't be more than 2,500 because the elevator has a limit. It just won't move anymore or it'll break. That's the answer to the problem because the multiple choice options would have systems of linear inequalities that you just look for that one. That's pretty easy. Number 11 gave you an equation to solve, a very simple equation to solve, and then a follow-up. So I'm going to say that negative 2x equals 10. So what is 4x squared? All right, and again, it's going to be multiple choice, but let's solve this one together. When you're given information that looks pretty simple to solve, you should probably just go ahead and solve that. We're going to divide both sides by negative 2, and x is negative 5. Now, clearly, we're looking to solve for what 4x squared is, so we're going to substitute the negative 5 in for the x, and we're going to follow the correct order of operations. Remember, PEMDAS. Parentheses, if there's work to do inside, there is no work in those parentheses. Followed by exponent. Well, there is an exponent. It is a power of 2, and it acts on just the negative 5. Negative 5 squared is negative 5 times negative 5, which is positive 25. And 4 times 25 is 100, which would be the solution to our problem. And that's an example number 11. 13 is kind of like number 10 in that it just asks you to build an inequality, in this case, a single inequality statement, not even a system. And it told you what we start with and what we're making and what we want. So let's just presume, as an example, you have in your account $1,000 right now. Okay, so I'm starting off with $1,000. Let's say you're adding to it every week. You're adding $10 a week. Well, clearly adding $10 a week is plus 10 per W per week. And let's say they want to know when will you have at least $5,000? At least means we need that or more. And that's greater than or equal to $5,000. And that would be the answer to the prompt. That's all there is to it, okay? So far, so good. The only other kind of prompt is the extra credit. Number 6. They gave you a system of inequalities shown below, which the following relationships must be true. So this was the example, number 6. We said y is less than, it was 2x minus a. I'm just going to say x minus a, and then the other one is greater than x. We'll go with minus b. What statements must be true? Again, it could say anything on the actual quiz, but what we said was with this problem, if you make a compound inequality, it's actually pretty easy to see what to do. If y is less than x minus a, then y obviously lies to the left of x minus a. When you see this, y is greater than, you can rewrite this so that y is greater than x minus b. So if y is greater than x minus b and less than x minus a, it falls in between the two, which allows us to basically drop out the y, because x minus b has got to be less than x minus a if y is in between them. And now I can just solve the question. I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and then I get negative b is less than negative a. I'm going to divide by -1, and when you divide by a negative over an inequality, the symbol flips around, and b is greater than a for this problem. Okay? Those are examples of everything you're going to see on the quiz. So study from those examples and be ready, because the quiz is going to be Thursday and Friday. That's all I have. If you have any questions, email me. Otherwise, have a good day.